Hey everyone, welcome back to SoCal Sports Report. I'm Ailis Garcia with my co-host Bobby DeMuro. We've got lots of great things coming for you this week. It's a really fun episode, actually.
Yeah.
I think we talk about a lot of cool things. First up though, very serious topic. We're talking NFL. Ex-NFL players have joined forces and are now suing the NFL for the use of painkillers that they administered to these players years back, and now they are supposedly feeling the repercussions of taking these painkillers. What does this mean, and do they actually have a case?
I think they could have a case. It comes down to what the NFL knows, how much they knew, and when they knew it about these painkillers, and if these painkillers related to these off-field issues down the road, and if the players can prove that the NFL knew that these painkillers were dangerous, or that the NFL knew that they were causing problems by abusing these things, then yes, obviously the players have a case. It might be tough though, and I know this is your big point, that how do we know that the hits didn't cause the problems and not the painkillers?
The hits, everything that happens, the physical force of playing football, I think has maybe a greater, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but that has a huge factor in your health after, you know, long after you leave the field.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they could actually trace it back to the actual use of painkillers. And it says, I know we want to talk about this, the culture of the NFL where they encourage supposedly the use of taking anything to get better so that you can play through the pain, play at all costs. So I don't know if they have a case to actually go back and pinpoint the use of painkillers.
It'll be difficult, although if there is abuse or if there are doctors who have been kind of willy-nilly sending out painkillers, maybe there is something they can do. My issue is that culture line. The encouraging a culture, which is hard to prove, but we just talked about the NFL draft, we just watched the NFL draft, and there's one story over and over again on the NFL draft that we see 100 times, and it is so-and-so player from LSU or Alabama or name your school, whose mom, single mom, worked 2 jobs to put food on the table, to put a roof over their heads, you know, poverty the entire time, mom working incredibly hard, kid makes good, kid goes to college, kid gets NFL drafted, and he buys a house and a car for mom. Great story. Here's where this comes into play. A lot of these kids have serious financial obligations that they are trying to reach in the NFL, and so they will do whatever it takes to stay in the league and keep making money and keep playing. And that includes taking painkillers when they're told to take painkillers. Now, am I blaming the NFL for what these adult players are doing to willingly and knowingly do and engage? No, the NFL is not at fault so much.
Yeah, they're not babysitters or
they can't
parents.
be babysitters, and they can't do, they can't monitor them every time, but there is some sort of responsibility. And if you're Roger Goodell, you're lying to yourself if you're saying it's just on these kids to know about these painkillers. You need to tell them something, inform them something, because the culture is these kids will do whatever it takes to keep collecting a paycheck, a lot of times for noble reasons, with mom and dad and family and brothers, and we've heard a ton of, heartthrob stories of these poor kids who have these horrible upbringings who make good in the NFL. Well, guess what? They need that money, and they're going to keep collecting that money no matter what.
I think it goes back to education, though. Maybe educating them also on the use of how they spend their money. So maybe it's more of like an introduction to football. Like, okay, now you're an NFL player. This is what may happen to you. These are the things that you may experience now that you're in the NFL. And here are the best ways to navigate and manage these things, including your money and whatnot.
That sounds great, but here's my question. So it goes back to education. You educate these kids. You say, hey, here's why painkillers are dangerous. Here's what to watch out for, blah, blah, blah. Awesome. They get into a game, they get injured. Week 2 comes around, the doctor comes to him and says, take these painkillers. The kid says, no, I've learned about painkillers, I don't want to do it. The doctor says, great, you're released. We have a new player to take your spot. How do you change the culture in that regard?
Right. I mean, when it comes down to that's your physical well-being is your source of income, it's tough. At the same time, though, how do we know, going back to the legal lawsuit, how do we know that it's not from other drugs?
Oh, we don't. I mean, there's so many. Yeah. There are so many. But painkillers aside, just the general culture in the league, when the stakes are so high, when the money stakes are so high, the winning stakes are so high, the career stakes are so high, you have players who will do whatever it takes. And I do mean whatever it takes to do it, because we still see guys getting busted for performance-enhancing drugs all the time in the NFL, and we know that those things are going to do some damage to them down the road, but they apparently don't care enough to get caught. They take the risk.
That, and also I think everybody is just interested in the short-term gratification and, okay, what is this going to do for me right now in the short term versus thinking about the long term, and this spans across every industry. I don't think enough people think about long-term plans versus people only live in like the short-term moment.
Yeah. And this is a direct parallel to the concussion issue.
Right.
This is a direct parallel to a lot of NFL problems with painkillers. So the lawsuit will be interesting to see and follow up on down the road. I'm just worried about this culture, and I don't know how to change it, because the same culture that has these negative aspects in some ways also brings us amazing football that everybody wants to see and every player wants to play.
But when it gets in the way, when it starts affecting health, I don't know.
That's a tough call.
Might be a little too much. All right, moving on to something a little bit more fun and exciting. The EA Sports is looking to find their next big cover star for Madden NFL. I know that they have like a select list of people that they can choose from, and it's a vote. But we're gonna hold our own little debate. And so, who would you pick to be on the cover of Madden NFL?
I have a couple different picks. I'll pick one NFL player, broad NFL player. I'll say Cam Newton deserves it.
Okay.
I think he's exciting. I think he's a new breed of quarterback, like Russell Wilson, like Colin Kaepernick. I'm going to put it on Cam Newton. Maybe I'm a little biased because I like the Panthers and from that area. If we're picking just California players, I think the most visible California player is probably Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
Nobody's going to do it from the Raiders. Matt Schaub is not going to be it. Khalil Mack is too new. And I don't think Phillip Rivers or anybody from the Chargers does it. So if I'm picking a California guy, I say Colin Kaepernick. He's my Madden guy. Who's yours?
All right, I'm going to bring something different to the table. I say, it'll never happen, but I say they go with the human interest story instead of the big NFL star. So one example is Derek Coleman. He's from California, played with the Seattle Seahawks. So he was on a winning team. He did have an impact on the team. Maybe, he was a starter. But, Duracell picked him up for an ad, and he has a hearing problem. But the reason why it became so popular and he became such a national sensation is because he's actually able to relate to young kids and people in general who have hearing problems and show them and prove to them that yes, you can still follow your dreams and make something of yourself even though you have a disability. And I think it would say a lot if they put someone like that on a cover. I think we were talking off camera about the Arizona Cardinal guy who went off.
Yeah,
right?
Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman, who served in the military and was killed in Iraq or Afghanistan, was killed in the Middle East during one of these operations. He would have been a great human interest guy on the cover and was very well known nationally. I don't know if Coleman is as well known.
Yeah, right. And obviously these people aren't going to sell as many copies as the big stars. But at the same time, if you think about it, little kids are playing these games. It's not just adults. Kids are playing these games. And I think that if they see someone who is aspirational and they can relate to, if they have, issues of their own or, obstacles that they have to overcome. And that's not saying that other, big stars don't have obstacles to overcome. Everybody has, a challenge, in their career and whatnot. But I think they would, it would draw a good story, and it might actually draw more press.
I'll allow it. That's not a bad idea. I'll give it to you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, good topic.
I guess we want to know from you guys, though, who should be on the next Madden cover. And if you could only pick a California player, so Raiders, Chargers, 49ers, which I know is very limited.
Right.
But if you're a fan of one of those teams.
When this comes out, I think that they might have already picked
They might have already picked it. Okay, well, if you could pick your NFL player from the Raiders, Chargers, or 49ers, who would it be? Make your case for your guy on Twitter at SoCal Sports TV.
Yeah, or comment below.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we comment back. So, yeah, last topic, though. We're midway through 2014, so I think it's time to talk about some big moments in sports. What would be your biggest moment in sports so far in 2014?
In Southern California.
In Southern California.
All right, I'll go off the radar for my moment, because you're going to make a case that there aren't a lot of great moments yet. There are a few, but nothing that stands out.
Nothing crazy.
So I'll go off the radar, and I will say Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, the Mustangs, and their sports achievements in 2014 are my most memorable moments. 3 things for them this spring. Women's basketball team wasn't supposed to be great, won almost 20 games, went to the NIT, did very well in the Big West tournament, and then went in the postseason. The men's basketball team was not great, got hot at the right time, won the Big West, and went to the NCAA tournament, which is huge. Yeah. And then the baseball team. About 3 months ago, we did a college baseball topic on a show, and we talked about Cal State Fullerton and how good Fullerton was going to be and how dominant their pitchers were. Well, Fullerton had a down year this year, and Cal Poly went 45-10 in the regular season. They were dominant in the Big West. They are in a national top 5 ranking on their way to NCAA regionals and super regionals, and by now the College World Series, hopefully. I will say Cal Poly's athletics department is the memorable moment in 2014. I know they're Central California, but Southern-ish California. Cal Poly must
have. You're spreading that. Yeah, I'll give it to you. I think that's a good case, and one that people don't normally. Hey, you don't hear about that if you're not following.
No, you don't.
Sports.
San Luis Obispo is not a major media market, so
I think that's your new Pepperdine and Cal.
Okay.
Your new San Luis Obispo.
Hey, that's the thing. The Cal Poly's baseball team has swept this year. Get this: Fullerton, Davis, Hawaii, and Northridge in the Big West, and they took 3 out of 4 from Cal. So that baseball team is legit. Just watch out for them.
We left Cal long ago. Yeah, no reason to go back. All right, so before we were talking about, I don't really have a big moment that stands out to me. And we were talking that Puig a couple weeks ago, he made the big catch. He ran, Matt Kemp and him were exactly like the same distance apart from the ball. I think it was like 60 feet, I believe. And he went and he caught it, and it was a pretty amazing catch. But we've seen catches like that before. It's nothing, out of the ordinary, unfortunately. Like, it was a great catch, but, it's not anything we haven't seen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see how people make a big deal about that and would say that's a big moment. But also, people say about the Clippers, how they came back and really almost won the second round.
Yeah.
At the end, though, they really lost it. And I actually got to go see a couple of those games, which was really cool. But it was very painful sitting there watching them lose it at the end. And then also the Kings. The Kings came back with the Sharks, and they came back with the Ducks. And so, I think it goes to show a lot about the Kings and how they have been able to kind of every year be a presence in hockey.
Yeah. Those are good moments, I guess. But you're going to say no moment stands out for you.
Yeah, no. Like, when I thought about this, because I thought about this whole subject, and there wasn't really anything. I kind of let it simmer for a couple of days, and I was like, okay, something's going to come to me. Nothing. I'm sure you guys have favorite moments from 2014, though. So tweet us at SoCal Sports TV and leave your comments below right here on YouTube. We want to know what you think. And as always, let us know if there's a topic you want us to debate, or if there's something else that you want us to talk about, because we're open to suggestions, and there's always good stuff, and we really like hearing from you. So that's going to do it for this week. We will see you next time. For Bobby DeMuro, I'm Ailis Garcia. Have a great rest of June.